Okay, delighted to say that Aston Villa and Republic of Ireland midfielder Conor Hourihane is with us now ahead of the return of the Premier League on Wednesday night. Conor, how are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad at all, thanks.
Does this feel like a new season?
Yeah, it does a little bit, I suppose. We've had a little bit of a mini pre-season. I know shorter than usual this time round, but yeah, it feels like last season or three quarters of the season or whatever it has been is a long, long time ago. So it does feel like kind of a new season, new starts, and as we probably go into, hopefully that works in our favour.
You're just home from training at the moment, and you were saying how you can't even get changed at the changing ground. 2 days away from the start of the new restart of the season, as it is. How different is a training session now compared to if it was the start of a season, say last August?
Yeah, obviously, listen, there's a lots of different rules now. Like you touched on, can't have a shower at training ground, can't go to the canteen. Only 3 or 4 lads allowed in the gym at once. Same at the physio room. We're not going into the changing rooms. We're going into our kind of indoor area because, it's a big kind of indoor pitch. So you can stay 2 meters apart in where you change and so on and so forth. So listen, you arrive to the training ground in training kit. You wouldn't do that usually. And you pretty much get in your car not long after, unless you need a little bit of treatment or, we do get food and you can have it there if you want, but it's brought down to you and you head off again. So it is very, very different. Used to it now. Listen, we're back at it 3 weeks, nearly close to a month probably. And it's becoming the norm now. But I think deep down all the lads are looking forward to getting back to the real normal, whenever that may be.
How difficult has it been to change those socially distanced training sessions into fully fledged matches? I know you played a good few friendlies.
Yeah, so I suppose at the start of kind of getting back into that full contact, a lot of people were a little bit tentative, a little bit standoffish, which is natural. We can't forget that there's a virus and a pandemic out there. But as the weeks have gone on, that the lads have felt a lot more comfortable with that and kind of getting back into that little bit of normality, like we've been saying. The test results have obviously been a big positive for that normality as well. We've had no positive result at Villa over the course we've been tested. So all of that kind of plays into the mind and into that kind of maybe that relaxed little bit of mindset you can have heading into training, that all is kind of okay in this building.
How have you found the last 3 months? Have you been stuck around Birmingham the entire time? Did you get back to Ireland at all, or how have you found it?
No, yeah, listen, it's been mixed for myself, I suppose. I've had on my partner's side, we've had unfortunately a couple of people pass away from coronavirus, so that
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate that. No, it's so the first few months were amazing, family wise, spending a lot of time with my partner and my daughter that I didn't usually get to spend. And then we had a couple of bad, maybe month, 6 weeks with the virus, but trying to get on with it as best we can. And yeah, like I said, heading back into that little bit of normality is nice now, and hopefully we may have seen the worst of it.
Because the idea is thrown out there quite a lot that football is not life and death, and there were question marks at the start about why are we pushing this thing forward so quickly. You're in an incredible position now to actually really put that into perspective for yourself and what this whole virus really meant and the true implications of the dangers of it.
Yeah, I suppose only up until about a month ago, I suppose, I don't want to touch on it too much, but obviously the virus kind of affected our family a little bit. So we were in our own little bubble thinking that all life was fine, and then it gets affected. You get affected by it. Someone kind of close to you, and all of a sudden you go, wow, it actually is out there. This is real, and it is happening. But yeah, listen, we're trying to get on with it as best we can. I'm back into training and the test results are big and key in kind of, getting back into that normal life, as I say, and trying to crack on with it as best we can. And like I said, we really hope that the worst is behind us, really.
We've spoken to a couple of your international colleagues over the last few weeks, Matt Doherty, John Egan, both of whom said they were raring to go and get back into it. And it does seem as though most players' mindsets has changed over the last 3 months. From, remember Wayne Rooney writing the article of players are almost been used as guinea pigs at the start of this. Yeah. Has your mindset changed? Like, was there ever any period where you thought, actually, the last place in the world I want to be, while there's still so many unknowns, even as there are now, the last place I want to be is on a football pitch?
I suppose, no, listen, first and foremost, I'm a football player and I really, really miss playing football. First and foremost, I'm really looking forward to getting back into it and getting back into the games, and hopefully we'll get a few good results and that feel-good factor will come back to us, because you miss that feeling, you miss that match day feeling. But yeah, listen, I suppose a bit tentative at the start, and then my missus is pregnant now as well at the minute, so that had a factor in the back of my head. So, and we had the unfortunate incident as well with our family. So there's been up and down periods. I thought 2 months ago, kind of, when everyone was kind of at that peak stage, I thought there's absolutely no chance we're going to get back into this. And as time has got on, listen, I think it's been handled as best as we can. And some players have their concerns. Footballers are human beings. They've got their own situations outside of football. Everyone does, we've got a couple of lads with health issues, or they might be living with someone who's got health issues, and it's a matter of life or death here. So it's not easy, and I can understand everyone's concerns 100%. But listen, I think everyone know there's been no positive results in Aston Villa since we started testing, like I've said, and we are really looking forward to it now that it's come so close. And the only way that the season is going to get finished is by playing. So we are looking forward to getting going, really, now that it's coming so close.
It's brilliant, obviously, that there have been no positive tests, but by the sounds of it really has hit your club hard, because was it Dean Smith's father also sadly passed away from coronavirus? So there's a lot going on. You're like, congratulations with your wife being pregnant. There's a lot going on in your house over the last 3 months, good and bad. And the really support network that you ordinarily would have to turn to probably isn't there. You can't get home. All right, you can probably have your Zoom calls the same as everybody else, but you also don't have that training room to embrace you. You don't have, I don't know, do you still have the sports psychologist that you're beck and call during this period?
I suppose you do, yeah. You can lean on your family, like you said, but there's nothing face to face. I haven't seen my family now since, I'd see them probably every 3-4 weeks. I haven't seen them probably since about February. So you're going back, 4 or 5 months. Listen, my partner, I suppose, who's pregnant, couldn't go see her side of the family when they had coronavirus, and unfortunately passed away. So it is out there. It is real life. Like I said, I keep going back to hopefully we're past the worst of it. And lads really do. Yeah, we're footballers, and people love the game and love watching us play football and whatever. But lads, like I said, like any other human being, they do have circumstances at home as well that will make them really, really worry. And it affects everyone, So it is what it is, I suppose, and we need to crack on with it as best we can. But once the environment at the club is as safe as it possibly can be, and it is that the club have been fantastic in making sure everything's covered, then everyone is raring to go, really, and looking forward to getting back into it.
I guess it helps in a certain way that Dean Smith realises just how grave the situation has been himself. Have you had conversations with him at all about that sort of thing over the last few months?
Yeah, listen, huge unfortunate news. His father obviously passed away, which was as desperately sad for him. So it has affected people at our football club, no doubt. Yeah, listen, there has been conversations, of course, because obviously I had to tell him about my own family situation. I had to get a day off for one day for training to go to the funeral and whatever. So there is them real life conversations that get talked about as well away from football, and it's not easy for people. But listen, I suppose you try and get up and get on with it as best you can. And at the end of the day, we get to go in and train and to play. And Dean and myself and all the lads are really looking forward to getting going now that we're so close to match day, of course, which is only 2 days away.
Are they all back in Bandon?
Yeah, they're all right. Yeah, they're as best as can be. Listen, yeah, mum and dad are great, and I've seen my brother a little bit more than everyone because he lives in London. So I've seen him a couple of times more than most. But no, they're all great, thankfully. Yeah.
The inclination here would be to kind of say how talking about relegation or talking about the Premier League kind of puts things into perspective or feels trivial. But I'd imagine from your perspective, getting out and playing has just been an amazing feeling. And like you can tell today that you're incredibly excited about getting back on the football pitch. Sport has this unbelievable power to take your mind off it, to bring happiness to so many people at the same time.
Yeah, and hopefully we can bring that to to many people around the country. I suppose whoever you follow at the moment, everyone will be looking forward to that first game on Wednesday. there'll be so many people watching because they've missed football for so long. And then hopefully for the Villa fans, we bring good results to make them just as happy as the rest, you know. So yeah, obviously the ultimate aim is to stay up in the league and you know, stay in the Premier League for next year. And you know, hopefully we get off to a good start and, like I said, bring them smiles to the Villa fans, because you know, it hasn't been an easy time over the last 4 or 5 months for a lot of people. And you know, I suppose in the league position that we're in as well, it hasn't been too good of a season either for the Villa fans themselves.
Is there any way to prepare for the behind closed doors aspect? Because it's potentially going to hit Villa harder than other clubs. Your home record this season has been pretty good. The vast majority of your points have been picked up at home. Have you played friendlies there? Have you been able to talk about what it'll be like, how it'll be different?
Yeah, we've played 2 friendlies. We played West Brom and we played Leicester. And it is strange, I suppose, but it's going to become the norm as months go on. So we're going to try and adapt to it as best we can. You know, it's going to be really, really new for everyone. It's going to be strange for everyone. So I think it's going to be down to who can make the best out of a bad situation, really, and hopefully we can capitalize on that. And you know, it's going to be the same for everyone. So I think there'll be some strange results. I do think that, you know, some teams will start off and adapt to it really, really well, and other teams mightn't. And hopefully we'll be one of the teams that adapt to it really, really well and get off to a good start.
How have you found it this season in terms of the step up, as we call it? It was interesting chatting to Matt Doherty last week, where he's talking about the quality of training at Wolves, and when João Moutinho's pinging the ball to you on the right hand side, that it's not just about controlling the ball, it's about doing something better and creating an opportunity, and that pressure is always there. And Villa spent a lot of money during the summer. How have you found that? Is everything, particularly in that middle of midfield position, compared to the Championship, is everything a little bit quicker? What is the big difference?
Yeah, listen, there's some top players in this league. I think obviously it's my first year really playing in this league. Obviously when I was at Sunderland as a youth team player, they were in the Premier League, so I watched a lot of kind of games as a youth team player at the stadium alike. But it's so different playing in the game, of course. It's so much quicker. You don't get a lot of time on the ball, as in you don't get as many touches as you would in the Championship, because you don't dominate the ball as much. Teams are so fluid and technically really good, and pace, power. You know, a lot of the top teams have got the lot, really. They tick every single box. So it's been an amazing experience for myself to be involved in this league. It's been an up and down season, an inconsistent season for everyone at the football club, including myself. So hopefully, you know, this little period away now will stand us in good stead, and that second season syndrome might kind of work for us. But it's an amazing league to be a part of, and a league that we all want to be a part of again next year. So you know, hopefully the ultimate goal is to stay up really and test ourselves again next year.
How much work has gone into some of those inconsistencies over, I think it's 99 days between your 2 games? I guess you can over-focus on certain things, especially with the defensive problems that the club has had at times this season. Do you get bogged down in it too much, or was it a good bit of time off and then the talk around tactics and how to arrest some of those inconsistencies then begins?
Yeah, so we've tried to cover as much as we can really over the course of being away from each other. There's been a lot of Zoom calls, team wise, you know, unit wise, midfielders, strikers, defenders, with the management staff, and kind of covering as much as you can to help us improve. Trying to make the most of the time that we had away from the training ground. And we'll see on Wednesday if that's been if that work has paid off or not. But no, it's listen, there's like no bones about it. We're second bottom in the league. Whether we deserve to be there or not, the league table doesn't lie, and we need to keep more clean sheets, defensively be better. But that's from not just the goalkeeper and the defenders. That's from front to back. You know, working better as units, as a team. You look at Sheffield United, who are going to be playing on Wednesday, and they thrive on clean sheets. You know, their team morale is fantastic, good characters, and absolute hats off to them the way they've gone about their business. So I think that's something that we need to be better at defensively, especially to keep clean sheets.
I'm sure with the position Villa have found themselves in this season, you're not standing by in the middle of the pitch watching in awe of some of the players you're going up against. But if you were to pick 1 or 2 of the midfielders who you found yourself on a pitch with, who are the guys you'd look at and think, actually, these are a step above the norm, even in Premier League circumstances?
I think we've played Man City 3 times this year. Kevin De Bruyne is usually the one. So good technically, the way he passes the ball, the way he maneuvers the ball, deceivingly really, really quick as well. he's been one that's stood out in my head. He played at Villa Park, he played at their place, and he played in the Carabao Cup final as well. And he came on in the Carabao Cup final, but the way he just glides past you is something to be seen really when you play against him. And then we played.
What do you mean by how he? Sorry, what do you mean by how he passes the ball?
It just seems different to the rest of us. It really does. It's so crisp. The way the technique of how he passes the ball, his way to pass. He can drive it, he can whip it, he can outside of the boot, inside it. His crossing is phenomenal. You've probably seen it many, many times in the goals he sets up. He just seems to have so much time in the ball, never gives the ball away. Amazing, really. And you try not to be too in awe of these players because you're up against them every single week. But it's a pleasure to play against them at times. And I think we played Liverpool only once this year at home. It was a tough one for us to take, really. It was we got
scored twice in the last minute, pretty much.
Last minute. But Mane was really, really good that day. So sharp. So quick. His runs in behind are electric. So they're two that probably stand out in my head. Talking to you here, really.
Can I ask you then, what's it been like having a front row seat to seeing how amazingly well Jack Grealish has readapted from Championship up to Premier League again? Of course, he's a former Premier League player before the season anyway, but I think even people who rated Jack Grealish very highly are still impressed by how well he's looked this season, how he's been like a duck to water back in the league again.
Yeah, listen, I've done a lot of interviews over this kind of lockdown, and Jack always pops up, and I always get myself into trouble with how honestly I answer these questions about Jack. So I have to be careful what I say here. But listen, Jack is our best player. Technically, like I said, so good. He's taken the step up, like you said, to like a duck to water. And the world's his oyster, really. He's so good at drifting past. He's drifting past people in this league, the best players in this league, with ease. I think he's the most fouled player in the league, so it just shows you that he's pinpointed, by every team. And listen, he's a Villa fan. All his family are Villa mad. So first and foremost, he'll want to keep us in the league, and we'll have to see after that really what he does. But the world's his oyster, really, because he really is that good.
It's interesting how much influence he can have on the game in the position he's played in for the last few months. So I think at the start of the season he was playing more as part of a three-man midfield, a bit deeper. And as you say, you want to get your best, most creative player on the ball as often as possible. But another day we were over commentating on the Spurs game, and he's playing on the left of a front three. And it reminded me of what John Giles was saying recently about John Robertson at Nottingham Forest, that he rarely, if ever, saw a left winger able to control a game and run a game from out on the wing. Yeah, it seems as though Jack Grealish was almost able to do that, from spending most of his time stuck in that left-hand touchline. The ball's still a magnet. Everything comes through him, and he can open up so much space. So I wanted to take him a little bit of time to come around to, you can still have as much influence on the game further forward, stuck more out in the wing than in the middle of midfield.
Yeah, I think it took a little bit of a convincing to get him to play up higher. He really, really had loads of joy in the Championship as an 8, but obviously, as we've spoke about, the Premier League to the Championship is a lot different. So I think maybe at the start of the season he wasn't getting the ball close enough to the goal in the final third to cause damage, and he probably wasn't getting as many goals as assists as he would like. So the gaffer probably reevaluated it and kind of wanted him to play as a kind of an inside forward, like a Mane and Salah type for us. And he played kind of inside left. I would, if you call him a left winger, he goes mad. He hates it. So he's like an inside forward left, and he gets in really dangerous positions for us. And he's had way more of a better influence, probably up higher, and he'd even admit that himself. And playing higher has made him score more goals and assists, getting the plaudits that he has. And the whole England thing is kind of around him now. So I think up higher, especially in this league, is suited him a lot better.
Another spot in midfield.
Exactly.
Just one last one on Grealish. As a former captain yourself for a couple of previous clubs, what is his captaincy style? What sort of a captain is he?
I would say he's a performance captain, leads by example on the pitch. He is vocal as well in around the dressing room and on match day, but he leads by example. How he takes the ball in all areas, how he drives at teams, how he sets up goals, scores goals, so scores crucial goals for us. So I wouldn't say he kind of he demands or he bosses people vocally. Not your kind of Roy Keane type who demands huge standards around him or anything like that. He's more of a on the field, look what I can do. The rest of the lads have to follow him in my kind of performances as well. And his performances this year have easily been our best, individual wise, and So that's a great quality to have, really, especially when we've been struggling. For his performance to be that high still every single week is credit to him.
So this game on Wednesday night, ordinarily on a regular match week, would be huge for Aston Villa and Sheffield United, but probably get overshadowed by some other games. Right now, it's the most hyped, anticipated game of football there's been. As Owen says, almost 100 days without football, and you're the first ones back, and two Cork men taking centre stage potentially, and yourself and John Egan.
I know. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Have you an Ireland WhatsApp group that you're all back and forth giving each other a little bit of abuse?
No, we don't. We only use we have a WhatsApp group, I suppose, when we're in camp, but off camp we don't really have one. But I'd speak to John regularly. He's a good friend of mine, and listen, he's been fantastic this year, getting the load of plaudits that he and the team deserve. They've gone about their business so well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing John on Wednesday, and hopefully I get one over on him.
Well, it's going to be a good one. I think the world will be watching. There's a certain excitement about that as well, and a very jarring nature, I'd assume, being in an empty stadium while also knowing that the entire world is
watching. It's going to be strange. There'll be, not so much pressure in the stadium maybe, but you'll know in the back of your head every man and his dog is going to be watching. So I'm sure whether we win, lose or draw, the key is don't go on Twitter afterwards.
Yeah, and just don't be caught spitting.
Whatever
you do.
Stay off social media for the night.
Listen, Conor, it's been great chatting to you. Really appreciate you making the time for us today, and best of luck on Wednesday.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.